How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Forever Arsenal podcast. We are back after that Liverpool game, and it didn't go exactly the way we had wanted it, but we're here to discuss it and we'll preview the West Ham game upcoming this Sunday as well. Predictions, all of that. Make sure you hit the like button. Let's get up to 1,000 likes as usual because it's become the norm now. 1,000 likes, lots of comments. Things we love to see, and we'll do comments of the day at the end as well. Big up Jordan, big up Lee out there on holiday, and big up James as well. And yeah, I mean, like I said, the result didn't go exactly as we had planned. It's a weird one. I'll kick things off because after the game, I feel like we should have won it, but at the same time, I feel like we could have lost it. So I was very frustrated, very disappointed, going 2-0 up and not seeing it out. Yeah, it did frustrate me. It did disappoint me. But at the same time, when you look at the way the game ended and you look at the amount of saves Ramsdale had to make in the second half, it's coming out as man of the match, in my opinion. I think he was a lot of people's man of the match. We escaped with a point. So it's a weird one to digest, really. And
you know, Turkish, in all the years that you've started this podcast with, how's it going, people? This is the one and only time I'm actually like, how is it going? Like, how is everyone on this podcast? Like, do you know what I mean? Normally I know. Normally, okay, we all know how we feel. I genuinely, I mean, have a feeling from the WhatsApp group, and I was obviously with you, Turkish, and I've seen you, but I'm really curious, having everyone slept on it, digested it all. Like, how is everyone actually feeling right now about this?
He's laughing. I think he's masking the pain right now. Lee, let's start with you because we usually start with you as you're the regular attendee of games. Obviously, you didn't go to this one because you're out there enjoying yourself. But I know you didn't enjoy that result Sunday afternoon.
No, I'm going to be honest. Mixed reactions, mixed all through. Really, going to say now. I thought in the first 40 minutes, I'm looking at it and going, Arsenal, what a team! I'm proud of this team. I honestly turned around and Cass, you know what I mean? I turned around and said, this could be 3 or 4. That's how good we was playing. Shot ourselves in the foot. And then at the end of it, we're hanging on. I've got to say that we're hanging on. You know, Ramsdale's made 2 unbelievable saves. Again, we've said it time and time again, too many chances we're letting other teams have. How many chances did we let Liverpool have? And they were, I'm going to say it now, I didn't think Liverpool were that good. I think they were there for the taking. I think it's a massive blow to us. I really do. But we got away with it. You know what I mean? Could have easily lost that game in the end. I think if we lost that game, the title was over. I'm going to be really honest. But the point keeps us in it. Frustration, relief, all the emotions of a game of football afterwards. I've slept on it. And I'm still peeved a little bit. I think at the end of the day, they were there for the taking and we didn't take that opportunity at the end of it. Like, you know, you can say a lot of things. Referee again, you know what I mean? Why are we still having this refereeing our games after the diabolical penalty you give at White Hart Lane last season? It's never a penalty in my eyes, you know what I mean? Like, Jota plays for it. And if it is a penalty, then why doesn't he give the one on Xhaka, which would have stopped the incident with Trent? It would have then give us the free kick going into the box, and they probably wouldn't have broken scored. You know what I mean? But and the Ben White tackle, you know, he books him for that, and then does exactly the same thing 10 times worse. Nothing. I'm fed up with it now. I'm fed up with like looking at referees and in particular. But in saying that, you know, they missed the penalty. I thought in the second half, guys, I was very disappointed with the way we come out as well. I felt we could give it to them as well. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. The substitutions were baffling, if I'll be honest. I honestly think, you know, when we're 2-1 up, you know, do we need Zinchenko going into the midfield? Do we need him doing that? I think if you're going to bring on players to defend, then put Tierney on and defend. I think when Tierney come on, we tightened up a little bit. But all in all, listen, I'm disappointed we didn't win the game because you're 2-0 up, but we played really, really well at times and defended a bit poorly. Saliba's going to be a massive miss for us now. I don't know what's going on there. I really don't. But all in all, look, listen, you take a point at Anfield on most days. I'm not having all this, the crowd won them the game and all that. Like, you know, it was a poor goal to give away. I know that him up there, like the one that don't follow, he's got something to say about our Mr. Xhaka, but I'm not having that. I'm not having that. Like, you know what I mean? We should defend a little bit better than that. And do you know what? I felt that right at the end, Gabby should have made a better pass than what he does, and we're in. And if we'd have won that 3-2, you know what I mean, we'd all been going mad. But listen, I think at the end of the day, we could look back at this game with a massive positive, or we look at it as the one that got away, and that's what cost us. That's how I look at it, really, guys.
Jordan, before you go all in on what has become the main subject matter out of that game, you know, we all know what it is. I want you to give us, as James said, your initial thoughts post game. What did you feel like it was 2 points dropped? Because that's what I said in my fan cam, and a lot of people were saying, you know, considering the way Liverpool dominated us in the second half and the amount of saves Ramsdale had to make, we're lucky to get out of there with a point. How did it feel to you when the referee blew the full-time whistle?
Well, I think this is going to be, hasn't happened for a while, Turkish, but I think I probably disagree with pretty much the whole fan base on pretty much every point of the match. How did I feel? It's 2 points dropped. It's 2 points dropped. I was fuming. I was really angry and disappointed. I was angry and disappointed because whilst the one thing I probably do agree with Leon is that we could have lost it. By the end of it, you know, Liverpool threw the Alamo and we could have lost that game, of course. Liverpool put it on us. But it's 2 points dropped because we are in a title race to win a Premier League title. It's so hard to win a Premier League title, and it's made harder by the fact that we are doing it not with the Manchester United of the 90s or the Chelsea of the early noughties. We're doing it against arguably the greatest Premier League team of all time. We're doing it against a side that are basically saying, and I have said for the past 4 or 5 years, if you want to win this Premier League title, you have to be perfect. Even when you're perfect, as Liverpool experienced getting 99 points, you still might not win it. So the margins of error are so small. First 40 minutes. First of all, I think people say it was a brilliant 40 minutes. I heard Flex this morning on the review show on DR Sports. Brilliant show, by the way. He made a good point. I don't think Arsenal were amazing. I thought we were in second gear. I thought it was more about Liverpool being absolutely dog. And that makes me even more angry, Turkish, because when you're going against a team that are making you be perfect, when your foot is on the neck, you have to cut the throat. You have to cut the throat. And at 2-0, we are killing them without even being, in my opinion, that good. We were good, but if you're asking me to rank our best away performances this season, it's not in our top 5. I thought Spurs away, we were better. Bournemouth away, better. United away, we lost, we were better. Chelsea away, we were better. What other games?
Brentford.
Villa away, Brentford for sure. So people talking about, oh, Arsenal were amazing, we were great. I think it was more about Liverpool being absolutely in disarray, but whatever. At 2-0 up, I'm at work watching the game, saying to everyone, all my colleagues, kill the game. Kill the game. We'll get to he who I shan't name in a moment, I'm sure. But at that point, if you're going for a title and you have a team like Liverpool on the rack, you have to finish the game. And the mere fact that they were playing in second gear is almost a compliment and a criticism. It's a compliment because you're saying, well, you're beating Liverpool comfortably at 2-0 at Anfield and you're only in second gear. But it's a critique because you're thinking, what are you waiting for to kill this game? You waiting for the second half? Do you think that, oh, we'll win it in the second half, it'll be okay? For me, kill the game, it's over. And they didn't do that. I'll get to why I'm really angry in a little bit. But for me, into your question, how I felt at the final whistle, I was fuming because it's 2 points dropped. And all I'm hearing is, it's a point gained. It's a point gained. Okay. Let's have that discussion in 3 weeks' time when it really gets sticky and we look back on the Anfield game and say, Yeah, we should have won that game. So we'll
Who
see.
deserved to
We'll
win
see.
over the 90 minutes? Who deserved to win?
Over the 90 minutes, I think you could put a case to say that it was a 50-50. Liverpool had 4 or 5 really good chances in the second half. We had a couple.
Yeah,
If
we had
we're
some
on
great
job,
ones.
James, and if we're on job in that first 35 minutes, James, it's 3-4-0. It's 3-4-0.
I hear
So
you.
it's your go
I
on.
hear you. But sorry, I interrupt you. But
No, go.
I'm sorry. I feel like it's too easy to say that, and the reason I say it, I get it, because I actually agree with you. I don't think we were scintillating in the first half. I thought we were very good. I thought the way we managed it was brilliant. But the one thing about Arsenal, actually, and they've been doing this for the last 3-4 games. They've actually kind of done this away from home a lot. Is they're quite reserved away. Like the reason we've been praising the clean sheets is I don't think we are all out attack like we are at home, for example. And I think when we are all out attack, we concede more chances. And as good as we were, Robertson skies one. Oh, no, not skies one, but misses the target. Really probably should have scored. And Salah was through on goal and could have scored as well. So there were warning shots there from Liverpool. So I don't blame Arsenal for not fully going for it and then maybe getting caught out the other end. I do get what you mean. They were vulnerable. But even when they came into the game and we were on the back foot, they were vulnerable. They're vulnerable all game. I think my biggest frustration is when the openings were there, whether it were a 2-0 up when we were comfortable or 2-1 or hell at 2-2 in the last kick of the game. I'm annoyed we didn't take advantage of those openings more so than I'm annoyed at actually the way we approached it 2-0. I can understand why we were a little withdrawn slightly because they are still a very talented team despite the season they're having.
Do you think that was the reason, though, James? That it's because in the back of the players' minds, they know what Liverpool were, rather than that big moment that we're going to get into.
It's just the nature of how Arsenal play away from home. I think Fulham. Everyone looks at Fulham that 3-0 as a great performance, and I think we did highlight this on the podcast. First 20 minutes, Arsenal didn't do anything. Then the offside goal. Then they scored quite quickly after that. And then second half, actually Fulham had quite a few chances, but we had quite a few chances and the game was done 3-0 at half time. Like, I think Arsenal, the nature of Arsenal away from home is actually not to be like, an XG of 5 point whatever and forcing the keeper into hundreds of saves. I think we're more like that at home and we concede more chances. I think there's more, I want to say control, but that isn't what we had at Anfield. Far from it, actually, in the second half. But I don't think we fully put our foot on the gas away from home.
What I liked about the first half performance is we got the ball and started playing. We got the ball and when we started playing. I've been to Anfield for the last 5 or 6 games. It's been back to the wall from the word go. What we done was we got a footing in the game and started playing out and dictating the game to our speed and what we wanted to do. I thought that was impressive. Liverpool were poor. I think we made them look poor. I do think we scared them. Jesus should have scored with an open goal, before we did score. But we hit them with two blows that frightened them. When have you seen Van Dijk being beaten as easily as he was in situations? I'm going to be really honest about this, and I think the problem we have is that after 60 minutes of that game, and forget about the goal that they scored, not Jesus has gone, physically gone, and because of his tempo gone, the team drops. We've got to get him fit for 70, 80 minutes because once his tempo dropped, we couldn't get out of our own half, and things started to unravel in that respect. But I was really, really impressed with the way we started and we got control of the game and we was knocking it back. Yes, they're going to have chances, but listen, all teams Liverpool. I don't think they're a great side. I've got to be honest with it when you look at that team there. But they've still got players, individual players that can cause problems. They're front three, for instance. So you've got to be wary of that, And I also think that, credit for we've got our best defender or one of our best defenders not playing. We've had to bring in Rob Holding. I thought done fairly well again. But even though that he's in that side and we've lost a little bit of our strength in, we still took the game to Liverpool, still got into, and we got ourselves into a position for whatever way you want to be, way we looked at it and whatever, where we should go on and win the game. And that he's a disappointment for me.
Let's talk about that moment now, because like I mentioned before, you know, a lot of people are looking at the moment between Xhaka and Trent as the turning point. When you look at the numbers before that incident and after that incident in terms of Liverpool's opportunities, chances, shots on target, etc., there is a massive change. Whilst doing the watch along, we don't have the audio to know how much that played a part in lifting the crowd. I've also seen comments from Ian Wright mentioning that it doesn't take much to lift the Anfield crowd, so he doesn't dwell too much on that moment from Xhaka. But let's head straight back over to Jordan, and we'll all give our opinions on it, because Jordan in the WhatsApp group was the most vocal about that moment.
Turkish, I'm struggling to even understand what the debate is. I mean, it's quite clear that, as you said, the stats say Liverpool had a couple of chances before that incident, but there was only one team dominating that game. I've been so praising, so complimentary of he who shan't be named this season. I think I was the only person out in my top 3 of Arsenal player of the season this year. I've completely been won around by him, but this is the reason why I won't name his name. And you might say that's unfair, because he's given us 18 months where he's been brilliant versus 4 years where he was, in my opinion, poor. But I expect my senior player on the pitch to really lead by example. I don't think I've ever heard Turkish Anfield so quiet. I really don't. The place was like a library. They chat about Highbury, it was a library. And when that incident kicked off, it was the opposite. They only needed that little bit of to really get going. And again, on the same program that DR Sports this morning, I think Doyle made a really good point as well. He said the Liverpool fan base can accept if you're better than us, you're going to beat us. If you're better than us, if we lose, hands up. What we won't accept is you trying to take liberties with one of our own. We won't have that. So if you're going to pick on any player, don't pick on the scouts player. Don't pick on the homegrown player. Don't give them an excuse to get behind the team. And as soon as that happened, they rose, and the team then rose. So for people to say it's not nothing to do with he who shan't be named, I'm like, what game were you watching? There was a clear, distinct change in atmosphere, in energy. They were awful. They needed something. The crowd were getting nothing from the crowd. Got nothing from the team. So the crowd to get something to get the team going, and that was their something. Finally, I heard Rob saying this morning on the show, on the ratings last night. What was he supposed to do? Away. Yes. That's exactly what you do. You're winning 2-0. You've clearly rattled Trent. Walk away.
Jordan, say that bit again, because your audio went. Robbie said what?
Robbie said, what does he expect he who shan't be named to do after Trent had fouled him? Should he just walk away? And I'm saying, yes, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You have the control. You're 2-0 up. He's clearly rattled. Why are you getting involved? Why are you getting involved? You and Holding are the two players that have been to Anfield when we've been slapped over the last 5, 6, 7 years. You were both probably in the team or in the squad last year when you saw what Arteta did. Why are you getting involved? That's what they needed, as a powder keg to get going. And for me, that was the catalyst for them to get going. So it may be unfair to blame the entire result on he who shan't be named, but I'm blaming him for the turning point, because there was no need. They go in at 2-1, their tails are up, the place is loud. They're like, right, we're back in this, boys. The crowd are loud. You can't be any worse. Go out there and give the crowd something to play for, something to shout for, sorry. So for me, I'm like, what is the debate? It was clearly a turning point, and I put a lot of responsibility on that result on him.
Turkish?
Yeah.
Oh, so no, go on. Actually, I want to hear your thoughts, because I know yesterday you didn't put as much on him. Curious now.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday during the game, I just wanted us to remain focused, and I wanted us to see whether we could use that moment to our own advantage, because at the end of the day, this Anfield is special, but we're headed in a direction where Champions League football is returning, and we're gonna have massive away nights in massive European stadiums who have got as much heritage as this Liverpool team. And I just think to myself, I said it on the watch along. If I'm playing football, Saturday league, Sunday league, and one of my teammates gets into an altercation like that, that would spur me on more to beat them. That would spur me on more to shut them up. But maybe the age of the squad comes into play, and maybe, you know, because looking back now, I do put more on that incident. I don't put it all on that incident because I just feel like this team needs to use those moments for ourselves rather than looking back at it and looking at those moments and saying that's where it all collapsed.
I think the crucial thing is Turkish, because you just worded it really well. Could Arsenal use that to focus themselves? But it wasn't really going to have any effect on Arsenal. They were focused. They were playing really well. They were doing their job. The only people who could benefit from that were Liverpool, and it focused them. Now, here's my thing. I think two things could be true. And on Lee's favourite show, Tactical Insight, Graham and I wanted to make sure that we looked at the actual goal to understand where it went wrong. Forget just going, oh, Xhaka fouled Trent and then Liverpool scored. Unbelievable. You know, we wanted to actually look at the goal. And if you look at it, Arsenal man marked all over the pitch, everywhere. It was individual battles. Gabriel on Salah, Zinchenko on Henderson because he came inside. And then because Trent was inverting, it meant Xhaka was marking Trent often. He was pressing onto him. So that's how the first altercation happened. But when you look at the goal, because Arsenal don't win their individual battles and duels, which they had done all game, it meant that they played through. And when you look at the back four, that's then defending the cross when it comes in, it's Holding at right back, it's Zinchenko at centre back, it's Gabriel at left back. White and Xhaka haven't even got back into the back line yet because the man marking had been completely pulled apart. So I think there's a tactical side that was exploited by Liverpool, and they did really well. Now, did they exploit it, have that extra bit of energy and focus because of what Xhaka did? Maybe. And where I am with Jordan is I see it as more a complete unnecessary. What was Xhaka doing it for? We had them in the palm of our hands. Just ball in your penalty area or miles from our goal. We're pressing, we're controlled. You've had a few chances. Ramsdale and Gabriel were going down to buy ourselves a little bit of time to regroup after those chances. Clever, smart, clever, lovely, tactically brilliant, managing the game brilliantly. And then we did that. And my thing is, people are going, oh, it didn't affect the game. That's cool. Maybe it didn't. But my thing is, why do it? Why do it anyway? Like, even if it didn't, what's the point?
Because he was fouled.
So what?
Lee, he got knocked over in an innocuous area of the pitch. He got knocked over in an innocuous area of the pitch, and then he ran into Trent arm first.
Yeah.
He left
one on Trent, which happens in games of football, right?
Don't need to do it.
Then Trent comes back at him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then what you're going to do? You're going to let him would Trent do that in the tunnel? Would Trent do that after the thing?
Didn't need to do it, Lee.
No, he didn't need to do it. But if the referee does his job and gives the foul in the first place, then there's none of these issues. He was frustrated with the foul. It's the heat of a battle of a game, right?
I hear that.
And you know, from that point of view. Also, if I'm not correct in saying this happened right on the 18-yard box of their pitch, right? Also, the second part of it is, where did it come down? Ben White. Because why? Because he's on a booking that he should never have been on. Can't make a tackle in the game no more. And that is when we got caught. I get what you're saying. I'm with you on the fact that he shouldn't have done it, and it was unnecessary. I'm going to go along with that. But don't tell me that was the reason that they scored the goal. Don't tell me it's the reason Anfield gets up for it because of that. That's crap.
Okay, all right, Lee. So can we go on, Jay? Go on. No, you go.
Well, I was going to say I've gone out of my way to show that I don't think that is why the goal has happened. I just think two things can be true. I think the goal, I don't blame on him. And maybe the raised atmosphere, there's a part of it. Jordan might feel differently. I still, though, ask why he needed to do it because
I get that.
The main people who were arguing with me in the comments, especially after the game, were saying, but it's passion, but you want the fight, but you want all that. I'm like, yeah, at 0-0, when you've got to, when it's a stalemate, when it's difficult, when you need that bit extra. Arsenal, all they need to do that in that position, composure, control their way through it, at least a fucking half time, right?
Do you know what?
And I agree with you. Xhaka might be taking too much heat for it, and I love him, and I have done my bit to defend him on the goal, but I still think it was completely unnecessary.
Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Spurs last year, where we were passion merchants and we got involved in a battle at White Hart Lane when we didn't need to. We didn't need to get into. There are some games where heart, fight, passion, and the will to fight and win is needed. Some games that is needed, and I want to see that from my guys. This was not that game.
I 100%
If it
agree
was
with
Saka
you.
or Martinelli, the younger ones, I could be maybe a little bit more forgiving. Not from him. I'm a
Or
senior player.
it is if you don't start it. Like, you know, if Hendo's come clattering into Zinchenko, I've got no issue with Xhaka barging into him and getting and making it heated. It's the fact that he ignited it. And then for everyone who's saying, but you need that passion, you need that. I didn't see Arsenal go to Tottenham and kick him all over the place and leave one on him and all that. They went, they played their football, then they defended well and they got the win.
I'd say it was a little bit like, the game reminded me a little bit of the Chelsea versus Tottenham game. Do you remember when Tottenham were going for the title? They were 2-0 up and they got involved with Chelsea's antics and then it went there. I agree. I'm going to agree with you that it was unnecessary for him to do that. But I'm not having it. That was the reason that they got the goal. It was poor defending, boys. Let's get it down to the facts.
Can I ask you a question, Lee?
Who's picking up Salah? Is that to do with the crowd?
That was a bit unlucky. That was a bit unlucky. Shit shot kind of falls.
Yeah, a little bit.
The defending was crap. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Lee. The goal was poorly defended. But let me ask you: do you think? And we'll never know. But do you think, on the balance of probability, Liverpool score a goal in that last? When was the goal scored, James?
42.
Yeah.
You guys think Liverpool score a goal if that kickoff hadn't have happened?
You know that I don't know. You don't know that, but what
on the balance of probability,
yes, because we're conceding chances, Jordan. We're conceding chances to them. You know, Salah went through 1-on-1, and he kicked the ball into. You know, with it. It was. I'm looking at it and going, what's it? It's Ramsdale saved it. When you look at it, he's kicked it 5-10 yards wide. We was giving away chances. We wasn't as I don't know why. We wasn't, like, maybe because it is Anfield and whatever, like, you know. I'm not going to name drop, but I will do, like, you know what I mean? Like, talking to Stephen Gerrard after, he was saying,
who?
It's just some former Liverpool player.
Stevie G.
Does he know about Fourever Arsenal? Or is he another set?
Yeah, like he said it. You know, what I mean, he says his favourite's Jordan, like, you know. What I mean? So,
wow. That's the fan you can remember, Jordan. You finally found him.
So
that's him.
He actually said he wanted a shout out. So a big shout out to Stephen. I remember his name, like, you know.
Oh, good.
So he actually said, when you play at Anfield, it's different to when you play away from home. He did say that, like, you know what I mean? And so, yes, you can go on about the crowd being wild up and everything like that. But there is at some point in that game that Liverpool were going to come out and everything like that, you know. I get the reason of that, but I don't think that, you know, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. I've been to Anfield loads of times. You know, they have a tannoy put on to make their crowd fit. If you have a look at Jurgen Klopp, he thinks that Liverpool score a penalty because there's cheering going around the ground. Come on. The reason there's massive crowd going on because they've got speakers going around the ground and all that, like, and it was Arsenal fans cheering. He thought it was Liverpool fans cheering. It's not as big and as intimidating as what it is. Arsenal going to Tottenham's intimidating. You know what I mean? Like, I just think at the end of the day, yes, Granit Xhaka got that wrong, but our defending on the day wasn't good enough. Yeah. It wasn't good enough.
And that's where you see, James, when you said, when I said, I want to use that moment to fire us up more. Jordan said it in the first 40 minutes. I think we were very good, considering it's Anfield, considering it's Liverpool. But like Lee said, it wasn't only Salah that had a one-on-one. Robertson pretty much had a one-on-one too. So up until that moment, if you look overall at big chances created that should be converted to goals, add the Jesus one at the back post for us, that's free for us. And really and truly, both Salah and Robertson should have scored from those positions. So there was defensive, lapses in concentration leading up to that point.
But the difference, Turkish, is that their two chances, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, those are the only two chances they had in that first half. Their two chances came from maybe a combo of poor defending and just, they just happened to kind of get through. Whereas the latter chances, clearly came from a team that were being spurred on. There was an energy. I wasn't in the stadium, and I do agree with all three of you that there's a slight level of hype about the Liverpool energy, but it clearly is a thing. And I'm just looking at the game in cold hard facts of before their first goal, bar those two chances, they were pretty non-existent, and the crowd sensed it as well. After that incident, they were a different team, and I'm not equating what he did exactly to the goal because there was a few minutes gap. Granted, I'm just saying. I think James, you said it perfectly. Even if we don't know if that was the cause of the goal, why would you do it anyway? Why would you do it anyway?
That's a great point. He shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have done that.
I just don't get involved. I'm watching it thinking, please walk away. Please walk away. And he's walking to him. And I'm like, mate, you started it. You started it. Anyway,
to be honest, it's not necessarily the walking away thing. I think he shouldn't have even bothered leaving one in on Trent to cause the issue, because even walking away in that moment, you've already kind of
too late.
Created a little moment for the fans to latch onto. But
can I say, I also think, though, in defense of Xhaka, not in defense of the moment, but just for what the outcome of the game ended up being, I think Liverpool were going to find something to spur them on. And I know that might just be wishful thinking. I just don't think they were going to roll over for us.
But don't give it to them. If they find something, they find something. But don't give it to them. And the reason why I'm being so harsh on him is because I was actually a fan. If this happened 3 years ago, I wouldn't even comment on this Turkish, because I'd just be like, well, that's what he does. That's what he does. Why am I going to make a big deal of it? That's what he does. A dog barks. Move on. Whereas the last 18 months, he's shown us that I'm not that guy anymore. So I'm like, what are you doing? But anyway, I've said my piece.
Played really well other than that moment, can I say? I thought he did.
Can I say something in his defence? He done exactly the same thing at Chelsea when we was beating Chelsea 1-0.
He did.
And nothing happened in it, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just
not Anfield.
It's not, but like, it's still, we're 1-0 up, and it's just because they scored afterwards, everybody's going to jump on it, and I just feel that's a little bit harsh on him. Like, I get why he done it, a little bit of frustration and everything like that. And in hindsight, he'd probably think, well, maybe he shouldn't have done it. But I also have to say this: we have been bullied many and many a times all over these grounds over the years. We're not going to be bullied no more. So when someone comes in and has a little kick at you, we're not going to let it happen. Like, you know, I do kind of like that, guys.
I would. I not when you're winning. What is it? Winning the battle. We might have lose the battle, but win the war.
Listen,
so you can have a little kick at us. You can bully us, but we'll take the 3 points.
Yes, but in times that's not happened, Jordan. I remember going to Newcastle with 4-0 up when they started bullying us and ended up 4-4. There are times when other teams have bullied us and got back into games because of that. I get what you're saying, but somewhere along the line, also, we've got to stop and go, right, I'll tell you what, we are 2-0 up. You're not going to bully us. You're not going to do this and you're not going to do that. Like where in the past it's happened. It's happened. I don't think we should be pillared about from it, really. And I'm going to be really honest. I've been a bit disappointed with a lot of Arsenal fans criticising so many things about the Arsenal. I've seen Odegaard being criticised. I've seen Martinelli being criticised for what he done. Like, even people saying Saka had a poor game and all that. Like, you know,
he wasn't great.
Come on. He
wasn't good. He wasn't that goodly.
He wasn't that great, but we're still he's been bloody brilliant most of the season.
But we're reviewing the game, and on the game, Saka was not brilliant.
No, he wasn't.
Martinelli, I know that unpopular opinion, but
that's where I'm being awful with interrupting today. I'm really sorry, but what Lee just said there about I guess what degree of pride you might have in the team or getting onto the players, whatever. I got a lot of stick on Twitter for saying that I was proud of the team, and people kind of misinterpreted that as me saying, 2-0 up, but 2-2 is fine. I wasn't saying that.
No.
I saw a team that actually, let's call that second half what it was. total chaos. It was mad. There was no structure. There was no organisation. I didn't see a solid two banks of four. It was mad. But what I did see was every single player actually just trying to get the team through it in their own way.
Yeah.
It was Gabriel trying to get his head on whatever he could. It was Rob Holding trying to just get stuck in wherever he could. It was White on a yellow card trying to do what he could be. Didn't have a great game. It was carnage. But I didn't think they ever shied away from it, the players. Maybe as a collective, tactically, as a group, completely fell apart. We conceded way too many chances to Liverpool. But I don't think the players shied away from it. And I had a degree of respect for that, because I have seen players. I've seen Mustafi get bumped in the back and concede a goal in a cup final.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's actually nice to see them battling through.
I think Mikel's got to take a little bit of the blame for this game. I've got to say that. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people are quick to praise him, and rightly so. But I felt that the game was going away from us yesterday, and he didn't do nothing about it. I look at Van Dijk and Arnold were both on bookings. We never really went at them second half. I felt that we was a little bit conservative in our performance second half. I actually said to a fella at half time, he said, "What do you reckon?" I said 4-1. I felt that we would come back out and really go at them. We never did. And then the substitution was so negative. But listen,
Lee, can you expand on that? Because I heard a lot of people criticising the substitution. I thought that was harsh. I didn't see that. I didn't understand the heat that you got for the subs.
I felt that Tierney probably could have. When you're 2-1 up and you're under the pump, what do you need? Zinchenko jumping into midfield and trying to get a third, or Tierney that's going to lock up shop. I felt that was probably the right thing to do. But then to bring on the centre half for Odegaard, I've not seen that all season. Why in that game? And I think if you're going to take Odegaard off, bring on another midfield player or something like that.
Can I tell you why I think he did that? I think, I don't know for sure, Lee, but I think he did that because if you look at how Liverpool were creating a lot of their chances, they were diags. If you look at the goal they ended up scoring, it's a cross. It's a diagonal cross.
Yeah.
There was another chance that came from a diag as well. They didn't score. I think and look at their squad. Van Dijk is 6 foot plus. Gakpo is 6 foot plus. Nunez is 6 foot plus. Firmino is definitely 5'11". They got some tall. Henderson is 5'11". Konate is definitely 6 foot. So I think he just thought they're gonna pump it long. And I need someone in there that's got a bit of an aerial presence. So I thought he got. Go on, sure.
Like, you're right in thinking that. You're right in thinking that, but it's one thing thinking and it's one thing knowing. And what I do know watching that second half is we were getting exposed down our left-hand side. The reason Zinchenko's in that position is to overload midfield and get control. We had no control in that second half.
I agree that.
And also our attacking players couldn't really hold on to the ball as much to relieve us of the pressure. So for me, it should have been Tierney on a lot sooner than he came on. And it should have been Trossard on as well to try, because Trossard's got good feet. He keeps the ball well. He can, create something out of nothing. I think those two players should have come on a lot earlier than they did. And, in the end, we do concede down that left-hand side, a nutmeg. Very unfortunate for Zinchenko there. You saw how upset he was about it on the bench. But I agree with what you're thinking. But I was watching it and saying to myself, this has to change. And Lee's kind of right, because we could have brought Tierney on and still gone to a back five in some form. Zinchenko does like slotting into the midfield, but I'm sure he could Tierney could slot into the left of a back three, and then that allows Zinchenko a bit more cover on that left-hand side regardless. Kiwior has never appeared in the Premier League. So for him to come on against Liverpool at Anfield, 2-1 down, with the pressure, with all that pressure on him, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not criticising Mikel. He's earned the right to do what he wants to do and whatever, like, you know what I mean? I just felt that you summed it up really well. We had no control. We needed to get back the control somewhere. And if not the control, then make sure you don't lose. And I do think with Zinchenko, listen, the reason we're 2-0 up is because he's going into those positions and all that. But once you're 2-0 up or 2-1 and you want to hold on to it, like, get back in and play a back four. make it hard to break down, like, you know. And I felt we didn't do that in this game.
And also, Jorginho might have been a better option considering he's someone with experience, composure in the middle. But
great point.
it is what it is.
Yeah, it would have probably been better, Jorginho. Yeah, that's a great point. But listen, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
I just don't think we were ever getting control back in that
No,
game.
I don't. I think you're right, James. I think
whatever we do.
It was we were going to hang on for 2-1, weren't we? We were trying to hang on for a 2-1. Like, you know.
If you ignore lockdown football, you know, even Man City have never been able to control Liverpool at Anfield, not in the Jurgen Klopp era. I just think, I know we're looking at Liverpool who are 8th and don't have Mane and all that, or you could look at it as Liverpool, the group without Mane, but the same manager and 98% the same group that went and won everything. Everything we're hoping this team can achieve, that group have done it. And I just think, strap in. I think that's what it was going to be. I think we need to do better on the counter. Better on the counter, because they were always going to have us backs against the wall at some point.
Yeah, we did do that in the second half, James, didn't we? We didn't really look like when you've got Saka and you've got Martinelli and they're chucking everything in here. The counter attack needs to be precise. It was poor. Like, you know?
They were. I thought Jesus was unbelievable in the game. I thought Saka and Martinelli, who were excellent in the first half, especially Martinelli. Thought second half some real wasted counter-attacking opportunities.
Yeah,
and mainly through not just being decisive enough and playing that pass. You know, it's harsh. I don't want to be critical. These two are amazing. I really think we got two absolute gems. And they are a big part of why we're 2-0 up in the first place. But I felt maybe the nerves got to them a little bit. Almost like with every chance, it's almost like they believed that was their last chance. You know, they were counter-attacking like they didn't want to get it wrong. And I've seen other teams, and I hate them both, but Tottenham and Man United, they've always been lethal. It's always been 2-3 passes. It's never been 3-4 touches and then a pass and then holding the ball and then trying to beat a player and then trying to cross it. It's cutthroat. It's bam, bam, bam.
I think on Martinelli, I think I've worked out why I'm so hard on him. But I think it's because I believe that his ceiling actually might be higher than Saka's. I think Saka will have the better career, but I look at Martinelli and think, you could actually be a top 5, top 10 player in the world. I think he's got that ceiling there. And although he got an assist and a goal in the game, and defensively I think did a good job, I still just want a little bit more from him. And I know that people are going to be really hard on me for that. I would, if I'm Martinelli, I'm saying to every player on the team, he's on a yellow card now. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. I'm running at this guy every single time I can. I'm getting him sent off. And people won't like me saying that. But if I'm Martinelli, my thinking is, I'm getting you sent off. I'm getting you sent off because you're already riled up. You're on a booking. We know you can't defend. And I've got pace to burn. And I've got quick feet. And I would have liked him to just been the guy to have won us that game. That pass at the end, where he didn't pass it to Saka, I was upset for 2 reasons. One, because the pass was a bad pass. But could you argue it was even the wrong pass? Because Trossard is in even more space on the left-hand side, where you pass it out to Trossard passes it across, Saka taps it into a virtually an empty net. So I just thought those are the moments that I just think he's got still quite a lot to learn, even though his goal output this season has improved. 2 quick points. The refereeing got a lot of criticism, and I didn't understand why. And also, I thought Ramsdale got massively overpraised. But can we do referees first? And
I just touched on Martinelli because...
Sorry.
A lot of people leading up to the game, you know, when asked about what you'd play front three-wise, everyone that would go with Trossard tended to say Martinelli would be the one to start on the bench. But you mentioned 2 of our best players, our youngest players, Saka and Martinelli. I just feel like Martinelli, he doesn't get praised enough.
Yeah.
I feel like Martinelli is not valued as much as Saka is. And this is our top scorer this season. This is the guy that got a goal. He got an assist against Liverpool at Anfield. He's the guy that always turns up at Anfield. And don't get me wrong, when he had the opportunity to make that pass, I actually disagree with Jordan. I think he could have passed it to Trossard and it could have resulted in a goal, but that was the right pass. Saka was in so much space that a simple ball into him, a couple touches, considering Alisson was already expecting it to go through, we would have won that game. But he done enough in that game for me to not look at him and say he needs to do more. In all honesty, Saka was the quiet one in that game, and that's not me getting on Saka's back.
No.
I just feel like, because Saka's English and he's a Hale End product, he gets a bit more leeway than maybe a Martinelli, who, as soon as he does one bad thing, it's like, oh, look, that's why Trossard should have played.
I'm being deliberately harsh, Turkish, because, like I said at the start, I want to be with you guys on Islington High Road when that trophy parade goes from Islington Town Hall to the Emirates Stadium. I don't want to watch Sky Sports News and see those lot up in Manchester outside that crappy town hall celebrating 3 trophies in a row. I want to win this title. And for me, it's the fine margins. And I'm being deliberately harsh. I am being deliberately harsh. I accept that. But I think we have to be. We can't just say, oh, yes, great point, on to the next one. We need to say, no, if that's the other way around, Liverpool are coming to the Emirates and winning that match. They're winning that. They're finding a way to win that match. So why are we being nice and kind and saying, oh, a draw, oh, Martinelli? Oh, no, we need to be killers. So I'm being deliberately harsh, but I think we have to be harsh if we want to really hold off this Manchester City team.
Yeah, and Gabriel had a header as well that he should have buried well.
Yeah, mate, yes. The header. 6 yards out, Turkish. It's straight to the goalkeeper.
I just think and I know this is a long way to go, and I know everyone's going to go, oh, your standards. I didn't expect a team that was this young, especially a big core of it, to be as competitive as they've been. They were brilliant for so much of the game. Okay, Martinelli gets a pass wrong. Could have done a little bit better on the counter. Okay, we conceded, some sloppy chances, but I am more proud of the team for the fight. And people might say character's a weird thing because we were 2-0 up, and I kind of hear that, but it could have been worse. Like, I really think they all stood up to their task. It was just a mess of a game, and they came out with something.
It's
a point at Anfield is a good point, but I still think it's 2 points dropped.
It's what's on the line that's caused more of the
frustration. That's a great point.
If this was a top 4 race and we get a point at Anfield in the manner that we did in terms of being the better team for 40 minutes and Liverpool were the better for 50, then we're looking at this result in a much better light. It's the fact that, number one, we're going for a Premier League title. Number two, it's against the Manchester City side that, like Jordan said, you've got to be pretty much perfect to...
They're not going to drop points, are they? They're not going to drop points. That's how you've got to look at it now. They're not going to drop points.
We've got 8 games left. This didn't dawn on me till today. If we draw at the Etihad, by the way, I think that's very possible, and we draw at Newcastle, we can still win the league.
Yeah.
Even if they win all their games.
Yes.
Well, apart from the draw against us, yeah. Because the gap is 6. So the gap is 6. If they win their game in hand, that's 3.
Yeah.
If we draw them, that remains 3. And then if we draw with Newcastle, that gives us a point to 4th, and they capitalise on our drop points and they cut it by 3, a point ahead.
Yeah.
We've got to go to the Etihad and get a result, but. To be honest, that was always the case anyway, wasn't it?
I don't think it was.
No, it was.
That's what.
Who was thinking, defeat's fine? Who was going, yeah, we can lose this game?
No. And obviously, no one's thinking that. I'm saying if we beat Liverpool, we can afford to lose at the Etihad. We can afford a loss there.
Yeah, I get you.
That's what I'm saying. We could have. That game could be a game where we want to try and win it. But if we don't, we're still in control.
Yeah, I get that. But
now we have to get minimum a draw.
Not really, because if we won at Liverpool and they win their game in hand, let's call it 5 points. They beat us at the Etihad, that's cut to 2 points. Then Newcastle's still a must-win, if that makes sense. Newcastle's still a must-win because then if we draw at Newcastle, that becomes a point and they make that up with goal difference.
I fancy my chances.
Actually, we still needed something at the Etihad either way.
We need something at there, and you're right, James. We're good enough to go there and get something. I think the only points that Man City are going to drop this season now will be, if anybody, is against us. I think they ain't going to slip up.
I think they will. I've got high hopes that they will, but that's all they are, hopes. If I'm honest.
Big up Rory, who was on AFTV for his watch along debut. he tweeted that if you look at their last 5 run-ins, when they've got to the last 8 games or 9 games as they're in now, they have dropped points in
5 points,
all of them they've dropped 5 or more points in all of them but 1, and that was the 18-19 season, where it was them and Liverpool back and forth and all that. But listen, I'm sure I've jinxed it, but interesting.
My last point was about Rambo, and I know I'm not going to be in the majority here. I think he was man of the match, but those 2 saves at the end, unbelievable! World-class saves!
They were. You're a hater, man.
One of them was unbelievable. The one that he flicked through his fingers round the post. That's an insane save. The others, come on.
Come on, one on.
Come on, guys. Guys.
Come on, Jordan. Like, you know.
No, it's a good save. It's not an unbelievable save. It's a dramatic save. It's in the 95th minute, but that's in the 4th minute. No one's making a big deal of it.
Listen, I thought it was a goal when it went across there. And
should have been a goal.
The one with a tip over, I thought it was in.
Yeah.
I thought it was in. It's a great save, you know what I mean? But listen, I get what you're saying, Jordan. That's what he's there to do. He's there to make saves. That's part of his job. But I think at the end of the day, that the second save is, you know.
Nah, he worked overtime. You add the Nunes.
The Nunes one, he stayed on his feet. I'm with you, I'm with you, James. I thought he was
sensational.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use the hyperbolic big words. Honestly, I think that was. Look, we keep talking about, could that be the game where we drop, where the title's lost by a point or whatever? Let me tell you now. Let me tell you right now. If we lose the title by a single point, it will not be because we drew at Anfield.
No, it will. Yes, it will. And I'll tell you, I'll love it if we come on here, James, and I will rub it in your face and tell you that was the game we lost the title.
Well, what a great fan you are. It will be because Alino. It'll be because a guy on VAR decided to go take a shit while he was meant to be drawing the lines. That's not a true story, by the way, before anyone starts running that. He decided not to do his job and draw the line.
It won't be in the Mail Sport tomorrow, James. I won't quoted by James on AFTV.
Yeah,
don't worry. You're good. James says.
Yeah. But it will come down to that in the end.
What the linesman was really doing. No. It will,
Sky Sports sources.
Yeah.
But story's enough, isn't it?
That will be the moment. And by the way, it will also be because we played terribly at Everton. It will also be because we couldn't get it. There'll be lots of other things. I will not point at this game with the chances Liverpool had, how difficult a place Anfield is to come. I will not look at it just because we were 2-0 up and go, that was the day. On another day, it doesn't bobble off Emi Martinez's head and go in the back of the net.
Yeah.
I just think swings around about this guy.
So what I sense from the conversation so far, because we're 52 minutes in, is we're very disappointed, very frustrated to say the least. That we could have taken 3 points from Anfield. There's a mix of we got a point, let's keep it moving, or there's the perspective that we might look at this one in a few weeks and say that's where the crumble began. But in all reality, we've got to dust ourselves off and move forward. And we've got West Ham away next. We've got West Ham away in Southampton before the Etihad trip. And we've just got to, we've got to learn from this.
2 games, Turkish. We've got to win them.
Yeah, 6 out of 6. That's what we need. So West Ham away, what do I even ask about lineups, considering if Saliba's back, he'll go straight back into the team. I'm assuming all 4 of us will agree there. In terms of the front 3, I'm not too sure someone would want to break up the the Saka, Martinelli, Jesus front 3. Midfield picks itself.
I think he might, Turkish. I think he might drop Jesus and start Trossard. I think I've got a feeling he might go Trossard in this game. And also, I'm not convinced that Saliba starts. I'm getting a bit. I think James alluded to it in the last pod. I'm getting a bit concerned about the Saliba thing now. Listen, if he starts, happy days. If he's fit, throw him in. I'm not convinced that he definitely starts on Sunday.
I think he was just short for this one. Yeah,
I agree.
In all honesty. We'll find out more. Obviously, we're recording this very early in the week.
I think Jesus may be left out of the Southampton game because that's 4 days, 5 days before Man City.
Okay. Okay.
But I think they're playing this one, keep his fitness going and all that, and then maybe rest him for that one.
Yeah.
I think that's what they might do.
That's it. That's the one. Trossard's been too good to leave out the team, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, he did for Anfield and I understood it. What a flick, by the way. I know Martinelli didn't take it, but that was a great touch.
Yes, it was.
It was sensational till the burners went.
Perfectly weighted. Perfectly.
No, I mean the Trossard flick.
The Trossard one he's talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
But yeah, even Jesus, yeah. Wow.
You know, like,
some good depth there.
Trossard, we're very fortunate. We've got 4 very, very good front runners now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if Trossard played in that game and you left out one of the others, you wouldn't be moaning about it. Yeah. He's done fantastically well, but I think that, you know, somehow we've got to get Jesus up and running for 70, 80 minutes instead of 50, 60. That is the goal now.
I think he is. I think Arteta didn't really know who to bring off in the front line to add a bit of, and he went with Trossard because that's kind of what the three's been. I think Jesus could have seen out that game.
No, I think there was time. I think when you look at that flick moment when he, you know, flicked it over, who was it? Thiago.
Yeah.
Flicked it over to Martinelli. I was waiting for Jesus to enter the picture in terms of, you know, running onto it.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Waiting.
Really?
And he never came into the picture. And I feel like that was the, you know, the lack of match fitness and whatnot that came back to him.
Fair enough.
Hence why, for me, he starts against West Ham and comes on against Southampton. That would probably be my you know.
Saliba's got to get back, boys. He's got to have a couple of games under his belt before City.
Yeah.
Because he didn't
be at Southampton. He's got to play against Southampton.
I think we were only just starting to see the best of Saliba the last maybe 3-4 games. Actually, he returned a bit rusty from the World Cup, so that's a good point. I think I'm with Turkish. I think Saliba was close. I kept saying on the previews, and it was just prediction. I've never claimed to have any sources like league judges, but I always thought that he'd be okay for Liverpool, and I think he was just short. I really do. I think they had hope.
And Arteta hinted someone's close, but. Yeah, neither Saliba or Nketiah were on the bench, so whoever he was insinuating was close. We still don't know. We'll find out this week.
Can I just say?
Go on.
Sorry, just before you bring it up, just briefly on the next 2 games. Obviously, City is the focus now, but we really have to focus on these next 2 games. On paper, you think Arsenal should win those games. Everyone's talking about that game with Arsenal getting 6 points between now and then. But they're 2 massive games, man. And if the club has shown us one thing this season, it's the ability to respond after a defeat or a setback. So they've given me faith that they will get 6 points from 6 points. But the Southampton game, I'm less concerned about. The West Ham game, I am concerned about. Because if we don't win that game, and if we lose that game, we're in big trouble then. We have to get, in my opinion, we need to get to the City game with the current gap as it is or better.
100%.
We have to protect that. But if we don't get 6 points between now and the City game,
that's it. I
don't think we're done, but I still think we win the title. I do. But I think less so than I did 24 hours ago.
Don't we? Sorry, if we win our games for the City game, we extend our lead, right? Even though that I'm
yeah.
Because they got an FA Cup game. Yeah.
Lose against West Ham, lose against Southampton, or lose against Man City. I don't think we win the league, boys. It's as simple as that. Like, you know, you've got to have a reality about how it is. You know, we've got to win our next 2 games to go to City, and we've got to go there and get something from that City game. Got to go there and get something. We're capable of doing it.
I'd throw in draw against West Ham, draw against Southampton, and
anything. Yeah. We've got to win our next 2 games and then go and get a point.
I think 4 points isn't terminal, but 4 points then means you've got to beat City.
Yeah.
4 points from the next 2 means you have to then go and beat City. Otherwise, a draw and the title's done. So 4 points isn't terminal. Do you know what I mean?
I'd say you'd have to beat City or Newcastle, but still get at something from City. But it gets all technical then. Listen, we got to get 6 out of 6. That's all I'm saying.
6 out of 6.
There we go. There we go.
When's Champions League confirmed, guys? This is too stressful. Where's the original target?
4 points, someone said today. 4 more points.
4 more points.
It's funny, right? I was thinking the other day, last season, and this is nothing to do with how you feel Arsenal should be and where they should be as a club. I was thinking the other day that last year, I had no hopes for Arsenal challenging the Champions League. I just thought we were so off it the year before. And we're disappointed because we missed out on it just. And I had no thoughts Arsenal challenge for the title this year. And we might miss out on it just. And that would feel really disappointing at the end of the season, where we might have actually blown away what I expected Arsenal or hoped Arsenal to do this season. And I don't know, it's just interesting how when you get the taste of, you get the taste of champagne or something. I don't know what's the saying, some kind of saying.
There's a saying in there somewhere.
You've been used to
There's a saying
Vimto,
in
and now
there.
you're getting champagne and you're drunk on the champagne. You know
Tell
what
the
you mean.
Something
tell
like
the
that.
tactical inside that one, wouldn't you? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're a bit too
Well,
smart.
it's already out, and I'm sure you've watched it, Lee.
On that note, let's bring up the prediction table. There's been some change. A couple correct scores.
Fuming.
Me and James both predicted a 2-2.
I'm fuming too.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about this. I'd rather the free. When we went 2-0 up, in my head I said, Lee and Jordan are going to be doubly excited because not only are we getting 3 points at Anfield, they're also going to get a point more than me in the prediction table. And I didn't give a fuck. I actually didn't give a fuck. When it was 2-2 and it ended like that, I just thought,
I did.
I'm not going to do a Jordan and go into WhatsApp.
I'm a competitor. What can I say? I want both teams
Listen,
to win.
I'm done now.
Putting the eye emoji.
Yeah,
Five points now. That, you know what I mean? I'll listen.
2-2.
Even at 2-1, I know Jordan was winning it. I'm saying, like, go on, Jordan, fight, go away. You know what I mean? Yeah, there you go.
Here we go.
I could end up bottom there. Like James is actually coming close now. Like, you know
he is, yeah. He's doing a Crystal Palace. He's doing a Villa. He's catching you up, bringing you in.
If I end up in fourth, I'm quitting. All right.
Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Although if I finish above Lee, then Sharoy is taking his place.
The relegation comes into play. People who listen in audio platforms, we are available on audio platforms, people. So remember that sometimes the show does come out on audio platforms before the YouTube channel. So make sure you're following us there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, so on. 41 games played. Thank you to the person in the comments last time out that clarified that because there was a game missing from the games played, but I've gone through all the predictions and the points are all tallied up correctly. So
is there some dodgy shit going on here, Turkish?
No. I think that's when I was hosting. I think when I was hosting, I didn't tell them to add another one to the games played.
Some corruption happening here. Do I have to put a call in, Lee, and speak to the AFTV?
You can do what you like, mate. You're lucky to be where you are. So we've played 41. We predicted 41. I'm top with 38 points and 4 correct scores. Jordan's in second, 35 points and 4 correct scores. Lee's on 33 points in third place. And James, also predicting the 2-2 result, is now on 31 points. So it is tight from second to fourth. But we'll keep it moving.
No. It's tight between third and fourth. They're not in my rear view mirror, Turkish. I'm very much focused on you. Don't try and drag me into their
Carry on checking. Blind spot.
I'm just delighted. I'm just delighted. Sharoy's got no points on the board, so I'm all right. Top 4 secured. Sealed.
West
Ham
you
go
away.
First in Turkish now, then, so that didn't last long, did it?
It didn't, Jordan.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it lasted about as long as the bloke's name did in his head for the shout out. No time at all.
Oh, Lee's killed me.
I'm gonna
2
go.
weeks. Actually, he actually lasted
actually 1 week.
International break. You know what I mean? Embarrassing,
I'm gonna go 3-1 Arsenal. Jordan.
I'm concerned. I'm worried. I'm going 1-0 Arsenal. I don't think this is an easy game at all. I think it's gonna be a dirty 1-0.
1-0 away from home. Lee.
2-0.
2-0. James.
What did you say, Turkish? Sorry.
3-1.
I'm backing the boys to respond. 3-0.
Ooh.
to West Ham. 3-0 to Arsenal. Come on, we're here for a ride now. Come on, let's do it.
All
Let's
right.
do it. Let's respond, boys.
Everyone's got wins predicted. Just to round that up, I've gone for 3-1. Jordan's gone for 1-0. Lee's gone for 2-0. And James has gone for 3-0. So 4 different predictions, all wins. We'll see how that affects the prediction table next week. But last and not least, comments of the daytime. It was a good pod last time. A lot of good comments last time out. Look, Jordan's excited to go through them.
Go find mine. Hang on a sec. You guys can kick off.
Oh, I'll kick off in like new show name suggestion: 3 hats and a twat. It's all love, Jordan. We appreciate you like that. Well, obviously we all had hats on, and Jordan didn't like, in the last one.
So would that make it 1 hat and 3 twats now?
Yeah, well, yeah, we could do now, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Or a twat and a hat, but whatever you like.
Well, I'm saying that was a very good one. I thought that was very funny. So you take my one there, like,
I had that one screenshotted as well. I can't lie.
Did you?
Yeah. But you know what? I'm going to rub salt in the wounds. And Peter here is my comment of the day. And he said, I actually want Jordan to win and humble these lot, Turkish and Lee especially.
Yeah.
Well, that ain't happening no more, is it?
Nah,
I got a few here. I got one here. Love from Malaysia. Waiting for the podcast every week. Best show on AFTV because of my man King Jordan. You can find the other 3 friends everywhere, every day in Arsenal fan channels. But King Jordan only appears in this castle once per week. My man. I've got another one here.
Another one, like that. I mean, why don't you pick yourself up? And why don't you forget? Don't forget your own name, do you? Like,
Well, as you mentioned that, Jordan J. Bryant shouting out his only fan in the world that he met in the streets. Shout out to my big fan, he who shall not be named. If I meet Jordan, I would give him my autograph and tell him I'm your big fan, and here's my autograph so you won't forget my name in future. And the last one was, personally, I see similar character arc between he who shan't be named and Jordan.
I'm glad you brought a wide perspective of comments covering.
Yeah, of course, always. Well, I've got balance here. Jordan has to go, man.
You're a twat.
Close. Jordan has to go, man. This guy isn't an Arsenal fan. He's just here because he's Robbie's friend. He's a TalkSport man. Them gets his opinions from that Durham fella. So just to prove that not everybody loves me, there's a couple in there that obviously would like me to be off.
But most of them do.
We don't need no proof. We get it on the streets every day.
And I have got some shout outs. So first of all, I want to shout out my man Michael, who works. I bumped into outside my office. He works for Royal Mail. Big him up. He's a big fan of the pod.
You're lucky, Michael. I remembered you.
Love.
He said to me, if you forget my name, think of Michael Jordan. That is the only reason I remember the guy's first name. So well done him. And also,
you had to bring Jordan into it, didn't you? Like, you know what I mean? So.
Of course. And then the other shout out was I was at what was it? It was a food festival in Hackney, and it was about 5 different people that were big fans of the podcast, were shouting us out. Black Eats, what was it called? Black Eats Food. Anyway, East London Festival, food festival on the weekend. Love the pod. Shout out to everybody on the pod. They love it. Keep up the good work.
Sorry, so 5 people just all at once came up.
There were just 5 different people that, oh yeah, Jordan, yeah, you're the good one on AFTV. Oh, big up, yeah, love the one.
So you were walking through, just trying to have some time to yourself, but everyone couldn't help but rise.
James, I'm a man of the people.
We're just walking through, just waving to everyone. Thank you, everyone. Yes, it is me. I am Jordan.
That wave.
Just minding my business. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Cool. Well, just the 7 shout outs and 8 comments from me. James, easily the best on the channel. That was interesting. I like this one. James, if the other 3 weren't on the podcast, I'd still watch it, just you. I thought that was a really nice one. Really, really good. I'll save you all
was
the
that
rest.
From Graham?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Let's leave it. I was going to say, I was actually seriously going to say thank you to everyone for the very kind comments. Everyone enjoyed my jokes at the beginning. Maybe I've got
They
a
did.
career in
Oh,
it.
I've got to say, that was brilliant.
Well,
You've done
thank you.
yeah.
There was a lot of love for that. There was a lot
of love for that. That was brilliant.
And Saurav, I hope I pronounced that right. It says Jordan's got one fan and he's imaginary. Oh boy.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Harsh.
Much love from the US.
His name's Dave.
Well done.
All right, cool. So we've done predictions. We've discussed Liverpool. We've predicted West Ham. We've done the comments of the day, and I think that's about it, lads. We've passed the hour mark. We seem to be doing that quite often, people. But you also seem to be hitting that like button and leaving your comments regularly. 1,000 likes, people. Leave your comments for comments of the day, because we will be back next week after the West Ham game and before the Southampton game. Don't forget, the Southampton game is on a Friday night, so yeah. Make sure you're here. Make sure you subscribe, notification bell on, and you'll see everything coming out thick and fast, people. Love for the love. Love to Jordan. Love to Lee. And love to James. Lee, carry on enjoying your holiday. James, I'll see you soon. And Jordan, we'll talk again as well, my guy.
Always.
Content and do what you're doing. People, we're out. And like I said, we are back again real soon as usual. Hopefully Arsenal bounce back. If you think we need to bounce back from a point at Anfield, it just shows how far we have come. Love for the love, people. We're out. Peace.